So, we're here in Chester. Steve D'Angelo, who's running for state rep, is talking with a state rep, Alexis Simpson, who's now running for the Senate, and who's the only other person that's a Democrat that's got legislative experience, and there's only one other person that claims to have legislative experience that's running on the Republican side. So tell me, Alexis, tell me a little about yourself. What do you do?
Sure. So I live in Exeter. I'm a representative. I'm on the Environment and Agriculture Committee. I have some experience before going into the legislature with agriculture policy and sustainable agriculture, and was really excited when at the State House I was able to use some of that in my work on the Environment and Agriculture Committee. But there were also a lot of other issues that my constituents cared about, and that I'm finding as I spend time in the 8 other towns besides Exeter in the Senate district, I'm finding that the issues of healthcare and education are really important and on everybody's minds these days. So some of the work that I've already done in the legislature will be good experience for me should I be elected to the Senate in November.
One of the things that really impressed me about your background is that you're a reverend of some sort.
I went to college and got my BS in physics, but then I decided that I wanted to be a pastor. So I got my Master of Divinity at Emory University and was a pastor for 5 years before I had kids.
That's absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, thank
you. Don't see too many people with that kind of integrity running in the political arena. You know,
Unfortunately.
It's one of the things that attracted me to you when I heard you say that. I think that's one of your strongest points that you could probably make. I think people want honest politicians. They want people who are going to tell them the truth, no matter what the truth is. So I don't think you could lie.
I'm not a good liar.
No, you're not. So in the state legislature, what kind of things did you do?
Sure. So I did a few things. I have been lucky to meet really wonderful legislators who've been doing this work for a long time. And so the very first thing I was able to do was a friend who'd been in the legislature for a while was letting me know about the decrease in funding for domestic violence that had happened about 5 years ago, and that it had never been replaced. And in fact, we had last year a real crisis where women and children who were trying to get help were not able to get the help that they needed because we did not have the state funds that could then be matched by federal funds as well in order to provide what we needed for victims of domestic violence. So I supported a bill that would help fund those needs. And then more recently, I've been able to work with Republican legislators, which I think is really important. I think it was a Republican-dominated legislature, and I think it's really important to work with people across party lines to really get work done. I have found that I need to be open and able to work with whomever is working on issues that I care about. So luckily, there were several Republicans who were working on some things that I really cared about. One was trying to ban, I don't know if a lot of people have heard of this, but ban so-called conversion therapy that strives to make gay children straight. And it's a psychologically unacceptable practice, and almost everyone is aware that we should not be doing this. And actually, the committee that reviewed this legislation voted for the ban across bipartisan lines, but then at the last minute it was undermined by the leadership in the legislature, which was very sad to me, but a great experience to try to build support across lines for this important issue.
Is that part of the Republican attitude towards, gay marriage and those kind of things? They kind of looked at it as part of it?
I really resist classifying us in the large groups of Republican and Democrat. I really, I don't feel that's really necessarily a fair way to characterize a lot of the issues that we talk about in the legislature. And I really found that in this particular issue, there was compassion on both the Republican side and the Democratic side for the children who were suffering from higher incidents of suicide attempts and all kinds of terrible outcomes of folks who undergo conversion therapy. So it wasn't actually just a matter of party. It was a matter of the political clout that a small minority of folks who didn't really understand and then were just against and were afraid that freedom of religion would be undermined. It would not have been. There were extra measures in there such that that wouldn't happen, but nevertheless, there's enough fear by a small minority that didn't happen.
So what are the important issues in our district that
Sure.
you're going to be running for the Senate?
Yeah, so I'm very excited about full-day kindergarten. I know in Exeter we've already started the concrete work of building onto our elementary school in order to support full-day kindergarten for all the students.
Who's paying for that?
So at this point, we treat kindergarten not as a full school day like we do 1st through 12th graders in terms of talking about adequacy and state funding for education. So our hope, a number of us, and there are some really great legislators in the sort of Concord, Hopkinton area who are leading this fight, but with a lot of support from the rest of us, trying to help us see how important early childhood education is, and how we need to invest in our young people, and that is a good economic decision, and it's a good decision for the intellectual health and the psychosocial health and well-being of our children from now through the rest of their lives. So hopefully we can convince everybody that needs to be a state priority to fund kindergarten at the same level as we fund first grade.
What about the building of these?
Yeah, so I am sure that this is true in many towns. I know it is true in several of them, and Exeter specifically. Would love to see state building aid brought back in stronger force.
It's important, I think.
It's very important.
I think businesses coming into New Hampshire look at the education as part of the infrastructure.
Absolutely.
I've learned that over the last several months.
That's right.
Talking to different folks.
That's exactly right.
So we need to see more of that going on. What other issues are important to you?
Well, I think kindergarten's not the only issue that draws people here, but certainly the business community and young families are looking for very concrete things that make New Hampshire the place where they want to live and settle. And having kindergarten is one of those things. Also, having paid sick leave and paid parental leave are really crucial for young families now. And so we're hopeful that those priorities will be able to be enacted soon.
So what are the other issues facing our district that are important to people in our community?
Sure. So healthcare seems to me to be an ongoing area that needs good hearts and good minds and good negotiating skills at work in our state to really make progress forward. I think the obvious thing to me is that we've made great strides with Medicaid expansion in covering 50,000 Granite Staters who are working but unable to afford health care otherwise. And in this district alone, we have 1,348 people who now qualify and enjoy health care through Medicaid expansion. So in the next term, we will definitely need to reauthorize Medicaid expansion. Not only is that good for the families that it covers, but businesses want a healthy workforce. And it means a lot, especially to small business owners, to know that their employees are getting good health care and they can rely on them confidently. It's also really important because Medicaid expansion has given us the opportunity to provide mental health services and to people and in areas where we really need them. And I think in the midst of this opioid crisis, we can't underestimate the importance of mental health care and the ability to access treatment.
Anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
Oh, I think those are the primary things. I think I already said a little bit of this, but I want to reiterate that I feel like I bring a skill set that can be really useful in Concord. My problem-solving skills from being a physics student, my listening skills from being a pastor, and then my negotiating skills from being a mom of a 9 and 11-year-old boys who are pretty strong-willed. All of those skills, I think, are important to bring to whatever topics, issues, crises come up in our state.
And as a candidate that's already had legislative experience, your running for the Senate will help you get a jump start on anybody else that's up there.
Yes, right. That's
So,
absolutely
very important.
true.
So, great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. Yeah, thank you.